I know a lot of you guys out there are waiting for this girl, Physalis, to come out in the global version of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Japan's had her for a while. She's even gotten ability awakenings quite recently in Japan. And she's also gotten a new unit, so I wanted to showcase this unit. Well, not showcase, but go over the unit with you. Tetrasilphid Physalis, and then we're going to go over another unit as well today in the form of Alexander Charlotte. This will give you guys, you know, a little bit of an in-look for your people out there who like to save up. Maybe you like one version of Physalis over the other, etc, etc. So let's get in here right now. We'll start off with Tetrasilphid Physalis out here. She's actually going to be a mage. I know, crazy, right? Dual wield gun user to a mage. So you're gonna have one be a mage, one be a true dual wield unit. Let's go over it right now. So her TMR is materia, 50% magic, 20% MP, and enables dual wielding of one-handed weapons. So it's just a buffed up version of Quintessence from Medina. That one had 30% magic. This one has 50% magic. This one has a little bit of MP on it as well. And they both give you access to dual wield. So there's a couple of mages out there, you know, who don't have natural dual wield. And if you're going for a true dual wield build, you're gonna have to find a way to get them to dual wield. So that's where you're gonna use this material. Outside of that, though, nothing super insane from what I can tell there. Her super TMR is a gun. It's a one-handed gun with 180 magic on it and 88 attack. It also decreases MP used by 20%. Now you can see her chain family here is Mystic Cross. I don't know if this will ever take off in global. We haven't seen it yet. I know one of the units that we just got from the Dragon Quest 11 collaboration, was it DQ11 collaboration, had Mystic Cross in JP, but since we got that so early, it is actually changed to, I think it was a Chaos Wave or something like that in global. So we haven't seen any Mystic Cross families yet. We might see it in the future, but nothing crazy like that. So let's go down in here real quick. Her weapon selection, she has access to knives, spears, throwing weapons, and guns, which is really interesting considering she's a mage and she can't use, you got it, she cannot use rods at all. But there are a couple of magic magic guns in the game. One of them is from a trial, right? The Glacial Bird. She's got her own for Super TMR, but it might be a little bit more difficult. You can't just throw like your best rod on her unless you give her a equip rod or something. Can't just throw your best rod on her though. Does Katy Perry Super TMR also give equip rods? I think it gives whips. I don't think it gives rods too. That'd be crazy if it gave rods and whips equipped. Her armor selection here is hats, helmets, clothing, and light armor. And let's get into her kit here. So we're gonna get in here and we're gonna explain the best parts of her kit. So the first skill here, you know, she's got this water and wind magic damage barrage skill, nothing crazy there. She does have two skills here. Water and wind are her two elements, so she's got a water and wind version of basically everything. This is going to be water magic damage 9.0 mod, so low mod. It's going to be Mystic Cross, and it's going to give you 2 to 3 evocation gauge crystals. The other one's going to be wind element and do the same thing. She's going to have a buff here, 150% magic and spirit buff for 3 turns to herself, and she also can give herself 100% magic damage bird killer for 3 turns as well. Her next skill here increases her magic by 180% for 5 turns to the caster, and then increases her modifiers by 2.5 for 5 turns to the caster for all of her relevant magic damage dealing skills. If you use it after a previous skill of the same name, I do believe, so if you use this 2 turns in a row or 2 times in a row, it becomes a 250% magic mod, and it gives a 5.0 modifier increase to those skills. So for a non-cooldown skill, it's actually pretty insane. You get a 2.5 to 5.0 modifier increase, get that burst of damage up, and she's going to have a relevant skill where these stacking modifier increases are going to be pretty substantial. Now her next 2 skills here, as you can see, water magic damage with 100% water resistance down. And the other one's going to be wind magic damage with 100% wind resistance down. You know, 12.5 modifiers, nothing insane there. Mystic Cross Chain family. She also gets natural dual cast, which is pretty cool because you can dual cast this skill that gets up to a 5.0 modifier and a 250% magic buff as well. And then her 2 main damage dealing skills here. We have the first one, water magic damage 3.0 modifier with ignore 50% spirit to all enemies. And it's going to be that is going to be the first 7 hits. The last hit is going to be an 11.5 mod with ignore 50% spirit. And this is where the crazy modifier increases chaining up together, become better and better and better. And this skill also increases the modifier of this skill by 1.0 as well. And all of these modifier increases do stack, and they go in here on both parts, guys, just like usual. They go up on top for the first hit, the first 7 hits, and on bottom for that hit as well. And each of these hits also ignore 50% spirit. So a 1.0 modifier here is actually a 4.0 modifier, because this becomes 4.0 to a 50%. And then you double it because they ignore 50%. So it's going to be an 8.0. This one's going to be a 22.5, and you're going to double that one again. So modifier increases here are going to be crazy, which means something like this 5.0 modifier increase is actually a 20.0 modifier increase. And she also has a wind version that does the same thing. And that's getting into all of her skills before her cooldown skills, which are going to be these ones as followed. So we're going to have these 4 skills that are cooldown skills. 5-turn cooldown available on turn 1. Water and Wind and Peril, 120% for 4 turns to all enemies. 250% magic buff for 4 turns to the caster. She's going to be immune to magic break. She's also going to give herself 100% wind resist buff for 4 turns as well, and it's going to enable triple cast. Although skill after that is going to be the same thing, but a little bit different in the sense that it's going to be buffing you up. So it's going to have a 70% spirit break for 4 turns to all enemies. She's going to get 3 stacks of Mirage for 4 turns. She's going to get water resistance buff by 100% for 4 turns. And she's going to get a 3.0 modifier increase for 4 turns to the caster. And then she has 2 very strong, very big hitting skills here at the bottom. Both of them are, you've guessed it, Mystic Cross. 5-turn cooldown available on turn 5 for both of these. Water magic damage 3.0 with ignore 50% spirit for the first 4 hits. Water magic damage 8.0 with ignore 50% spirit for the following 3 hits. And then water magic damage 18.5 with ignore 50% spirit to all enemies. These also do get some modifier increases, as you can see here. This skill right here is, you know, what is this? Tetrasylphlid Physalis. That's what these skills are, the 2 cooldown skills. Do get modifier increases, and just like the other 2, right, all the other skills we've talked about, these modifier increases are going to go on to every single iteration of each of these hits, and then they're all going to get doubled because every piece of that has ignore 50% spirit. So you can get a lot of modifier increases, and then her last cooldown skill is going to be wind damage instead of water damage. So, you know, you're going to be able to dual/triple cast these, do some insane burst damage on turn 5. That's going to be absolutely nutty. Now let's get into her passives here. Magic and MP plus 30%. HP and Spirit would equal to the gun, and as well as with a spear. Enables dual wielding of one-handed weapons. So it kind of makes her TMR a little redundant because she already has dual wielding. At least you're not forced to use it if you don't want to. But, you know, maybe you have like her super TMR gun or something like that, and you won't have to use her TMR to keep dual wield on. That'd be a little redundant in its own right, so it'd be kind of punishing you for getting the super TMR, which I guess they don't want to do. Makes sense. 20% wind resistance, increases Tetrasylphlid's evoke damage by 150%. She's not really a summoner. This is sort of like a flavor thing they put on all of these new Esper units here. 100% limit burst gauge fill rate, 5% MP recovery per turn. Increase Tetrasylphlid's bonus stats by 50%. She does get 100% true dual wield magic here, which is crazy strong. Okay, you know, that's a lot of free true dual magic considering how rare it is. It's only really on like super TMRs for the most part. I think there's like 1 character. There's not very many sources of true dual wield magic in JP. A little bit more in global. Maybe they're tied now, but it's extremely rare. It's not like it's on TMRs floating around everywhere. She gets magic 50%, defense 30%, 20% water resistance. She's gonna be immune to sleep, silence, paralysis, and confusion. HP and MP 20%, magic damage against avians, birds by 50%. She's going to get 30% physical and magic dodge, and then if you have her Trust Master Reward or Super Team on, so her Trust ability here, MP and magic plus 50%, and then another 50% true dual wield magic. She's got 150% true dual wield magic out of the 200 cap. That's absolutely nutty. Increases magic damage against birds again by 50%, so she's really out for those birds. She's really out there. She's you know, she's Tetrasylphlid, and she's out for the birds. Only one bird can win. Her heart apparently is going to be the Esper Tetrasylphlid. Magic 20%, and then magic and spirit 30%, and then some modifier increases to all of her skills, and it will auto cast conditional skill. We'll go over here at the start of battle or after being revived, and she's gonna get triple cast here. And then activated skill, right, that starts at the battle or after being revived, increases magic and spirit by 150% for 3 turns to the caster, and she's going to start with a guaranteed 100% bird killer buff. Her limit burst down here is going to decrease at max level here, decrease water and wind resist by 120% for 3 turns to all enemies, water and wind magic damage 44.5 multiplier to all enemies, and then the most important part, increases the modifiers of her skills by 5.0 for 4 turns to the caster. That is a lot of multiplier increase. We have 5.0 here. We have 1.0 here. That's 6. We have, not here. We have another one up here. 7, 8, 9, 10. It should be 15 then. Up to 15 total multipliers to her non-cooldown skills, which is absolutely insane considering that it's going to be a 45 multiplier increase total. No, I lied. A 60 times multiplier increase. So she's going to have just shy of a 75 times triple cast mod on her 2 skills here. So if you're a fan of this character, Physalis, this might be the one for you. Now, the next one is one that's near and dear to me. You've seen her in my team over and over and over. We're going to be going over Alexander Charlotte, as she's like to be called here. Very, very strong character. This might be the tank that I really want to go for a physical tank long term. So let's get in here. TMR Materia. It's going to be Materia. Obviously, just said that. Defense and Spirit plus 30%. Increase HP by 20% when equipped with a heavy shield. And increase your light resistance by 40%. This is a very strong TMR. You know, for as strong as it is, like Ulbricht's TMR, this is the reason why I TMR Moogled Ulbricht's TMR, which was like 40% HP and then 20% defense and spirit. They're both very, very strong. This one's very, very strong too, but you have to be wearing a heavy shield, in my opinion, for this one to be worth it, unless you're going for the light resistance there. So, that probably won't be that big of a deal. Heavy shields are pretty dang good in FFBE. Her STMR is the heavy armor, 106 defense, 106 spirit. Auto casts a 30% damage mitigation buff at the start of the battle or after being revived. So this is not a big deal and is kind of a big deal at the same time. So you're always going to have some sort of damage mitigation. You should anyways in your team. You have Charlotte in your team, and you better believe she's got some damage mitigation for you. But what this does do, right, is re-raise stuff, right? Your tank goes, your tank goes to cover. Your tank takes so much damage. They die, they re-raise, they don't have any damage mitigation anymore. If you have this crazy super TMR on, when they are covering die, come back with the re-raise, they're going to have that 30% damage mitigation. They should anyway, due to the mitigate damage thing. So, start of your turn, you should be okay. You won't have to worry about reapplying mitigation afterwards. So that's going to be pretty cool there. She is the absolute mirror of equity chaining frame family still. Pretty powerful family over there in JP, and it's still a powerful family in Global. So let's get in here right now. She can wear daggers, swords, staves, rods, and maces. So we've checked all the right boxes there, especially for like a Lilith TMR. Armor selection, she can wear everything but robes, which is fine in my book. Now this Charlotte is going to be a little bit different than the one we have now, the CG version. This is going to be, while she can flex tank, she's going to be pretty powerful at physical tanking as well. In both circumstances, she can do both. So her first skill here is going to be 100% provoke with 40% damage mitigation. Then she's going to have 2 skills here, ice and light, different elements here. Both of them AT mirror, absolute mirror of equity or absolute tranquility, whatever you want to call it. Chaining frames, physical ice damage with the 6.0 mod with defense scaling and 80% ice weakness applied to the enemy. So 80% ice and peril for 3 turns to 1 enemy. She also has the light version of that, so 6.0 light modifier with defense scaling with an 80% light and peril. Both of them, like I said before, an absolute mirror of equity chaining frame family. She also has access to, you can see it here, 130% defense buff for 4 turns all allies with a 25% physical damage mitigation attached to it for 4 turns. She also has a spirit version of it, which does a spirit buff of the same strength and a 25% magic damage mitigation buff for 4 turns to all allies there as well. She also has access to Entrust, and then it also will increase the limit burst gauge of all allies by 1. Okay, so it's Entrust plus 1, literally plus 1 limit burst crystal to your whole party. But this is fantastic to see. She's going to be an insane Entruster. You'll be able to throw around limit burst with her in your team like no one's business. And then we go in here. She's got some 60% attack and magic breaks. She's got a Dispel. Both of these actually do a little bit of damage. Nothing really worth talking about. They're basically doing damage so she can be a support chainer with her absolute mirror of equity skills here. Grants an ice and light resist 70% buff for 3 turns to all allies with an HP barrier of 2000. So we've kind of seen something like this before, but she now is having the ability to spam out 2000 HP barriers. She does have a chance to protect allies from physical damage with a damage mitigation of 50 to 75%. So it's a little bit more damage mitigation for herself than usual. And this also heals your HP by 5,000 to all allies, which is pretty ridiculous considering you're just putting up a cover and it's healing your whole party. She also has a 3,000 HP and 30 MP heal with 150% high tide buff to everyone here. This is a skill that CG Charlotte had, and she still has it here. Now she also has magic damage mitigation, and it also heals 5,000 HP to all allies. So she's got both physical and magic mitigation. When she uses it, it's going to be a big 5,000 HP heal. And as you can see, yes, some of these skills were in fact highlighted. As you can see, these ones are not highlighted down here, which does mean she gets dual cast abilities. So if you really want to, you can just, dual cast, this physical cover 2 times to heal everyone for 10,000 HP. Or you can like support chain and do something else. You can entrust and do something else. So she can do a lot of cool things here. Now getting into her cooldown skills, the first one here, 6-turn cooldown available on turn 1. 70% attack break for 4 turns all enemies, 200% defense buff for herself, and it's going to cast her physical cover, and it's also going to mitigate damage taken by 40% for 4 turns all allies, and it's going to enable some skills for 5 turns here. The other one is going to be the magic version. It's going to be a 70% magic break for 4 turns all enemies, 200% spirit buff for herself. Gonna put up her magic cover. It's gonna give everyone 40% damage mitigation, general damage mitigation for 4 turns to allies, and it's gonna enable that skill for 5 turns as well. And then her final cooldown skill, 3-turn cooldown available on turn 3. 100% Ice and Light and Peril for 1 turn to all enemies. Ice and Light physical damage, 30 times multiplier of defense scaling to all enemies, and enable a skill for 2 turns as well. And this is going to be Absolute Mirror of Equity, and she can dual cast this skill. Now it's a cooldown skill, so you can't dual cast this skill 2 times, but you can totally use this cooldown skill and then maybe like one of the other chaining skills if you're trying to, dual cast Absolute Mirror of Equity and chain finish or something like that. She's gonna be very strong, I think, in global. We'll get to those reasons why in the future. Defensive Spirit 30%, 50% draw attacks, 40% light resist, HP plus 20%, some MP recovery. She's got Reaper and Demon Killer, 15% HP and MP, 15% MP when equipped with a sword, 15% HP when equipped with a light or heavy shield. I guess if we ever do get dual wield shields, she can get 30% there by having both a light and a heavy shield on, but that's never going to happen. She does get 30% MP, 50% physical machine killer, and 50% Alexander bonus stats. And I think speaking of the machine killer, we might have skipped a skill up here. I thought she gave, here it is, we did increase physical and magic damage against machine monsters by 50% for 2 turns all allies. That's very powerful. This is not a cooldown skill, and they've kind of shown that characters who do have the ability to give killers to different characters, now, as like a side thing, they've actually made the multiplier increases here with the 50% a little bit more worth it. Usually it's something crazy like 15, 20%, 25%. But now it's like 50%. That's something worth talking about. And she does have that too as well. So keep that in mind. But back to her passives here. Defense and Spirit, 50% defense and spirit, 30% ice and light resist, immune to confusion and petrification, 50% high tide. Increased Alexander evoke damage once again, not a summoner, more of like a flavor thing, but increased by 150%. She is going to be immune to charm. She's going to have 40% additional ice resist here, and she's going to have a 100% chance to ignore fatal damage when her HP is above 5%, and it's going to lock her HP at 1%. It also gives her 2 limit burst gauge crystals per turn. Her trust ability / super trust master activated trust ability here is going to be defense, spirit, and HP plus 40%. Ice and light resist by another 30% with an auto cast skill at the start of the battle. 20% MP passive. Increased defense and spirit by 40%. And she has a chance to counter physical magical attacks here. So the skill that's getting unlocked by all the other skills and her conditional skills is a counter here. That's a big counter. And then her counter, chance to counter physical and magical attacks, 30% with max 1 a turn. This is going to be a 4,000 HP heal with an 80 MP heal attached to it. She's your tank. She's going to be... You only get to counter physical magical attacks 1 time each, but guess what? You're going to be getting in there. You're going to be countering. You're going to get some of these off. So that's going to be pretty... She's going to be able to heal pretty well. Her covers heal. Her counter heals. She's going to be doing a lot of stuff for you. Now, she also has full raise as a magic spell in case you need to do that. And then her limit burst, can't forget about it. It's just going to be the physical version of CG Charlotte's limit burst. Costs 22 crystals, which is what makes her, as an entruster, insane, because her limit burst is very cheap. And it's a chance to protect all allies from physical damage with an 80% proc chance. which is as high as covers go for the most part. I know there's a couple like Illusions, Nicole, and stuff that have 100%. But also, here's the big deal. Damage mitigation 80% for 4 turns to the caster. So you know how like cover mitigation is usually like 50 to 70 or 60 to 80? Hers is just always 80. It's like always high rolling 80% damage mitigation, which is insane. It's going to make her crazy tanky when you're tanking those physical hits. On top of that, it also does what Charlotte did. Damage mitigation taken by 50% for 4 turns to all allies. So if you can do with this, if you can pop this off on turn 1 with some entrust shenanigans of your own to entrust her, kind of like I do right now with Charlotte, this is going to be a crazy thing to do, but you don't have to do that with her. She can be your damage mitigation and you don't need to jump through those hoops because of her cooldown skill. Her cooldown skill right here gives her the covers and gives the damage mitigation. On top of that, also breaks for you. So she's an insane character, and she's going to be pretty family friendly with Sylvie in global as well. They'll be able to take turns, you know, breaking magic and spirit together. You can use Sylvie to break them, and then you can start using Charlotte to break them afterwards. You can go ahead and use Sylvie to chain, right, with Absolute Mirror of Equity, chaining frame family, Holy, imbue your ally, and maybe, you know, chain finish. There's a lot of cool stuff that they can do together here. They chain together with Absolute Mirror of Equity. They share holy damage, so you can chain up that way as well. You can build a chain with 2 supporting characters, one of them being Charlotte. Sorry, new Charlotte, Alexander Charlotte. You can use Alexander Charlotte with you know, one of the what is it called, like mystical kick, mystical space typhoon kick from Sylvie. This character, I'm looking forward to this character, especially with the entrust. Also, another good thing that you can partner up with Sylvie is the entrust, because you can fill Sylvie's LB gauge. You might even be able to kick a healer out as well with a team like that. You have some strong HP regens rolling around with Sylvie, some strong barriers rolling around with Sylvie, and then you have some counter heals from Alexander Charlotte coming in, and you have the ability to heal up as well with Alexander Charlotte here too. So maybe even some super crazy roll compression with Alexander Charlotte in your party, guys. But let me know what you guys think. Alexander Charlotte, Tetrasylphlid, these are the 2 that we're going over today. If I did the other ones as well, which I will do, but I'm not gonna do them all in one video because it'd be like a 50-minute video. But be sure to check that one out as well later this weekend when that is released. I can't wait for Alexander Charlotte. She looks super cool. Out here, he's got like that. He's got that like it's nothing personal kid eye. Alexander does. Like it looks like a star behind her, but that's like his eye, right? He's got like the angry anime eye, but it's yellow instead of red. And then Tetrasylphlid, both of them look very powerful. I'm personally waiting for Alexander Charlotte. She'd be really cool. I might even pass on Warrior of Light because I don't really need a physical tank right now. And Alexander Charlotte is just so much cool. So much cool, guys. But till then, guys, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Be down there. We'll be talking it out. As always, hit that subscription button, turn the notification bell on so you can get notified of when this channel does release videos. Otherwise, the channel's just gonna die because YouTube hates me. I'm not a late night with Jimmy Fallon or anything. Now I just got demonetized, and I'm gonna go cry about it. It's gonna be a good time.